We have with us Renata Delporte, the Senior Vice President of Global HR at SoftServe. And I do believe there is no one who never heard about Renata and at least once listened to her super exciting and great speeches about modern HR trends. And today, Renata joined us. Thank you very much, Renata, for this. With a really interesting topic that sounds like human-centric digitalization. So, Renata, welcome to the conference. Thank you again for joining. This stage is yours, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Denis, and dear audience, good morning. I hope the morning is beautiful for you. You have all necessary equipment with you, like coffee and good mood, because our topic today is very important for us. And let's talk about us as human beings. How do we manage other human beings? How do we interact? And what are the new trends on the market? So let me start with a quote, which was actually very interesting when you see the date, 1899. Everything that could have been invented was already invented. And that is how humans typically think, that we are already at the stage where we know everything, where we captured all the main things we need to deal with. And that is the biggest, actually, black spot in our minds. So let's see how we deal with that in our everyday life. I have a favorite wording which is called guardian angels. These are people, circumstances, clients who can help us figure out how the world is working. And my recent example is I'm living in the street with one-way traffic. So they were changing the road signs, and I didn't realize that, and almost was run by a car, because I was all the time living there, and I used to cross the street in certain ways, and when the life was changing, I was not noticing. Luckily, there was a policeman who was very kind and generous, and he said, just have a look at this sign and be careful if you want to stay alive. So such people, they look for me like angels. And very often our angels are clients, are subordinates, are teammates, are bosses who are kind of naughty, who want something we don't know how to deliver, and sometimes we get frustrated, but actually they bring us to the point where we become better, more adaptable, and more alive, I would say. So some things are not pretty obvious, and if you look at this quotation, rocks can't fall from the sky, there are no rocks up there. And if you think about the way people perceive things, we have very strict patterns in our cognitive function. So we basically think how we are taught to think. There are very known historical facts, like when Columbus was approaching America, the local tribes, they couldn't see the big ships. They physically couldn't see them because they were never seeing such big things. So they actually neglected the fact that the ships were approaching until they saw people. So very often in our reality, a lot of things are happening, but we still don't see them, because that is the way our brain works. It wants to protect us from, unnecessary stuff and save our energy. But still there are some signs which life shows to us. And sometimes we do stupid things thinking that they will help. There is this yellow powder joke. When the guy is going in the train and putting yellow powder everywhere, and people ask him, why do you do that? He says, because if you put yellow powder, there will be no crocodiles. And everybody says, there are no crocodiles, why do you put yellow powder? And he says, that's why. There are no crocodiles, because I put yellow powder. And very often we do the same, suggestions and assumptions, which are not adequate. So Actually, we live already in digital world, not in analog world anymore. And we know that because if you, for example, take analog phone and try to load Skype or Viber there, it's impossible. We know all that. If we, for example, try to pay with normal phone, you know, maybe most of you don't have it anymore at home. It is not possible, but you can do that with iPad, for example. That is obvious. But what is not obvious is that systems and rules how to live together in business, how to interact with each other, and how to manage people, they are not the same at all, but we still do the same things we used to do 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, and that is not adequate anymore. So let's talk about the things which are new and which might be not that obvious. So actually we live in virtual reality. Guess where are we now? I am sitting here in Lviv, in HQ, with a lot of people surrounding me. Thank you guys for being here and doing all that video stream. You are most probably at home or in some cozy place, and we are all together in virtual reality. And this reality, it will become extended reality. So when we will be equipped in the way that we most probably don't have to think so much anymore or to figure out things, there will be a lot of, you know, automated solutions for us. So what does that mean to us? That we are highly influenced with a lot of digital trends, and we don't realize that. If you Google after our talk, 𝗥𝗲𝗁 technologies, these are technologies which influence us and we don't know what to do with them. Actually, we are led by technologies. So, for example, if you go to social media and you put just 100 likes, and most probably all of you are putting 100 likes at least within your life, then the system or algorithms, they know more about you than your close friends. If you go and browse 500 times, which most probably you also did, the algorithms will know about you more than you know about yourself. And actually we are led by those technologies, and we are, you know, we don't know how to deal with that. We don't know. We live in very, very new times when our instincts and our body and our brains are not used to what we are doing. And we don't know what is the antidote for it. So actually right now people, and that is maybe not that obvious, and why I'm talking to you about that, because typically project managers are people managers, and you deal with people the most in organization, and you are the first front line, and you have this chicken effect when people follow you, and you are the first contact point. So actually right now people, they have the tendency to bring this virtual life when you live in social media, and whenever you like somebody you like, when somebody is not pleasing you, you just block them and you don't deal with those people. And people live in such a cocoon of comfort where everything they do, they can manage themselves. They can block people who are not pleasant. They can build their own communities based on their interests and likes. And actually they expect the same from the employer, believe it or not. So actually when people come to work, they expect that whenever they do something meaningful or interesting or even funny, they will be liked, they will be noticed, they will be acknowledged. And if somebody is irritating them, they can block them. And actually managers who are dominating, who are not supporting, who are very, you know, demanding and rude, they don't come in the list of those comfort zones. And actually one more news, bad or good, but that is that goals are not working anymore. So we still keep putting the goals, measuring them, putting KPIs, and that seems to work, but actually people are driven with very different things now. And that is mostly being socially accepted and liked. That's what people are looking for right now. Even, you know, in former days, the more money, the more land, the more, I don't know, immobilian, I don't remember the English word, sorry to say, but the more you have it, the more rich you are. But right now, the more influence and the more likes and the more brand you have on the market, the richer you are. So that is very changing. That's why people go for those likes in work. And we are dealing with modified humans. We can start talking now about Generation Z, and it will be 1 hour talk by itself, but actually people are looking for totally other things in work. Let's see what they are. So actually, people look for kind of game within working processes. And companies who are building very attracting and sticky environments for employees, they build in so-called dopamine cycle. So what does it mean? You have challenge or task or project, you have solution, and you have reward. Actually, when I see current business, especially IT business, we all have those challenges and solutions, but not necessarily rewards. Or reward is considered to be salary or bonus, which is not. Reward should be something you will be looking for while you are doing this project. And typically that is recognition. And typically it is good, you know, brand and good, I would say, resume finally. Here you see this project Cobra. What is it about? In India, there was some time ago, there was a big problem with cobras, with the snakes, cobras coming to the city and actually being very dangerous. So the government said, okay guys, for every killed cobra you bring to us, you get so many rupees. And they started to get tons of those cobras. But the funny thing, they got a lot, but they were not, their numbers were still the same or growing in the city. So what did people do? I wish I could speak with you in real time and in real, I mean, presence. But what people were immediately doing, they had farms for growing cobras outside of the city. Then they were killing them and braining to get the money. So people start immediately to get business when they get this, you know, kind of game installed in the process. So that's where we need to think about how do we gamify our processes in work and in project management. Actually, still, I would say 3 years ago, we were expecting that when the person had this or that university degree and was doing some studies and some projects, that was guaranteed that he will do the same in our company. But actually right now we have to start from zero. Whenever you get an employee, onboarding, start from zero, because there is no guarantee that whatever they did, it is adequate anymore to your project and to the market. And that is my quotation. I was putting it here. Manager, educate your associates, and you'll have the team to rely upon. Education becomes new norm in every day of project manager's life. And you know, it is not an action, it is a process. You cannot once do something in education and hope that it will stay forever. You cannot eat once and then stay very, you know, satisfied for 1 month. It is daily action. And by education, I mean no trainings, no really, you know, such formal classes. It is transferring your knowledge, it is sharing your experience, it is talking about maybe very important and maybe not very comfortable things. That's what I call education, but we will talk about that a little bit later. One more thing I would really like to focus on, that we talk about business, business, and business. But actually all what business is about, it is just relationships. There is nothing else in business. You have relationships with clients, you have relationships with your employees, bosses, families. That's just relationships. And we are all looking for mature partnership relationships. When two adults talk about business, they have mutual contributions, risks, rewards, and they act as partners. But what we have in business, and tell me if I am wrong, it is infantile or such child and parent relationship, where the boss typically is a father or mother figure and a child who is a teammate or employee, which is very immature, and we keep telling people what they need to do, expecting that they will somehow grow. There is one more extreme when people like to have friendships at work. Typically those people who don't have enough social circles, they want to have friendships within the teams and within organization, and actually it doesn't work very well. You can like each other, you can have wonderful relations, you can have friendship based on other things, but that doesn't really combines well. And what we tend to do, it is employees invalidization. So when we treat employees as almost handicapped, they need to have everything, they need to be told, they need to be controlled all the time. We consider them, and I don't like this phrase, consider them, as not really adequate people, and that is called invalidization. That's what is happening as side effect in the business right now. So that's not where we need to go. The general trend in leadership right now, it is servant leadership. Not everybody knows that, not everybody likes that, but actually it is very different approach to what it used to be. In former days, people wanted to get up corporate ladder, because then they got more power, they had more, influence, and they were served. But right now, leader is the person who is like host. They are creating environments and they're inviting people to live in this environment and to work together. So that is very, very different concept. And the main things which will be really the best currency or gold of management will be power of listening, empathic listening. That is very difficult. Try to listen to somebody who you really love at least 1 minute without thinking in parallel or waiting till they stop and you have space to talk as well. So that is the best skill which you can develop. Then it is we approach. There is not I and they. I need to educate them. I need to motivate them. That doesn't work anymore. That is we approach. And most probably you think you have a team, but think twice. Maybe you have a group. The difference between team and group is that group has goals, they have tasks, they have even results, and they can like each other and work together. But the team, the difference of the team compared to group is that in team you have leadership which is changing depending on the task and the role which need to be played. And we need to learn how to distribute power and control. That seems to be the most difficult. When I need to share my power, and actually not only to delegate, but to share control, that seems to be the most difficult, but that is the essence of the new generation of leaders. And serving. I am not served. I am the host inviting others really to be in my space and doing things together. That is what is human-centric leadership. In former days, people actually were the managers and the ruling forces. They were afraid of educated people, and the principle was keep them simple, stupid. So, but right now we know how to manage educated people, and let's talk about that a little bit. So, success today is not really getting to the top position in the company, it is something else. And most probably you know what it is. And you can share your list if there is a chat possibility here. But success today for most people is free time. Do I have free time to spend all that money which I earn? It is passion versus job. Job, it is like I come, I spend my time, I get my money, and I get out. But passion, it is I live when I work. Mental health, that is very important, especially within the last year when people were all the time in, this very vulnerable situations. They didn't know what to do, how to manage their life. So mental health all of a sudden became a very important topic. Physical health. By the way, during lockdown, people started to put weight, became nervous and so on. So right now, I think there is a new trend when people start to think healthy life, healthy body, and physical health is very important. Decent income is important, and working environment. Who are the people around me? Do I want to be with them, or do I have to be with them? So that is what is success today. And when you look at your bonus systems, at your incentives and your messaging to your employees, do you think that is included in your building, in your environment which you build in the company or in your team? And if not, think about that, because those are the most critical things for the future. Actually, this famous topic, life-work balance, is already old school. It is. Because right now people want to work and live at the same time. So they don't want to separate those things. First I work, somehow pressing myself, and then I get out and I live. So right now people want to live at their work. And all systems which are built by HR and in corporations, they are mostly about involvement, environment, leadership, having those flexible times and so on. That is very much in right now. Here will be very complicated slide, but I will try to do it short, and then you can go deeper and look through that. So, management philosophy was changing decade over decade. And just after World War II, and prior to that, it was more, let's get operational efficiency. People were seen as elements who need to fit the processes, who need to fit the systems. So they were just addition to what is actually done in business. And the main voices of those times were Andrew Carnegie and Henry Ford. Actually, we still use Henry Ford management principles, which were developed back in 1905. Think about that. And those principles are planning, informing, delegation, control, feedback. So these things, they are still in. And corporations were the kings. So again, people were just, they need to fit. They had to adapt. Then we came to hierarchical leadership back in 60s and 80s. And actually that was different already business environment where people were managed by objectives. The philosophy was put them in the right environment, give them the right goals, and they will develop. The main force at that time were executives, and the main focus in the companies was profit, growth, financial engineering. So engineering financial systems. By the way, that is the right moment to reflect where your company is right now. That might be insightful to you. And the main philosophers, so to say, of that time was Jack Welch and Peter Drucker. Surely you know those guys, especially Peter Drucker, who said that culture eats strategy every day for breakfast. That was his wedding. And Jack Welch, General Electric, he was a big, educator, I would say, and education systems of General Electrics are amazing. Then we came to collaborative management in 1990s. Those who remember 90s in Ukraine, we had something else in the market, but worldwide it was collaborative management. And then people started to talk about customer service, employees as leaders, servant leadership. We need to work together. And there was Howard Schultz and Steve Jobs who came to the market. Those leaders, they were very, very different. If we talk about Jobs, there are many contradictory points about him. He was really a charismatic guy, but that was not easy to work with him. But still people wanted to do that. And guess why? Because there was environment where you could do something out of your limits. And servant leadership, which we still right now question, especially in Ukraine and still in Europe, that was already the focus in 1990s. Think about your company in this aspect. Then company as a network. We discovered, and hopefully you did too, that vertical structures are working only to a certain extent. Whenever you do something meaningful to the company, it has to be cross-functional, definitely cross-functional teams, horizontal relationships, network of teams. And that is the first time in the history, if you look carefully, when we don't have personal names. There are no names, but there are companies. Famous FANG, Facebook, Netflix, Google, Amazon. What do these people do differently? That is my question to you. I don't answer. I hope you know the answer. But 2020 became still different. We came to the totally other world where empathy, trust, resilience, and growth are the most important things. What does it mean? It is not just we love each other and we care about each other, but we came to the point where actually we don't know what we don't know. We need to react quickly. We need to survive in a certain way. We need to adapt to changes. And enormous amount of trust is required there, because the team which doesn't have a trust is very slow. There are a lot of cycles of negotiations, renegotiations, approvals, controls, and that doesn't let the company to move quick. So empathy, trust, resilience of organization to those changes and growth, because we need to grow fast to stay alive in many cases. And if you see the companies which are right now the icons on the market, those are companies who go very eco-friendly to the earth, to the humankind, and to their customers. They are Unilever, Verizon, Patagonia, Whole Foods. Patagonia, for example, maybe you are the fan of those like I am. So if you buy any clothes there and they get broken, they repair. They exchange, and they actually want to get rid of this mass market clothes where we just reuse things, buy new things every time. So these companies become like new norm and new icon for the future. What does it mean to us? And by the way, if you could kind of reflect and think where you are, where your company is. Is it in 60s, 80s? Is it in 90s already, hopefully? Is it already in 2020, maybe? Then congratulations to you. And if not, try to think how to get there. And actually, what we see right now, maybe that might be the topic for you as well to discover, that all leading companies in the world provide HR solutions. So they provide solutions for people management. And that is not accident, because finally companies realize that all they do, it is not about, buildings or equipment or, I don't know, locations or whatever. It is about people and technologies. That's it. It is people and technologies. So let's see who are the main providers. Just have a look at this picture and you will see how important people management becomes for the world and for the business. Those who work in SoftServe, hi guys, you know all our favorite tool, which is Workday, with Peakon built in, so which helps managers right now to actually have self-service with employees. Those who don't, you definitely have some either homemade tools or something sexy from the market, but there are a lot of things coming up there. We have a lot of platforms for communication, and right now we are using one of those. Most probably there will be more to come, because we will come to hybrid models of collaboration and we will need even more sophisticated tools for that. Talent management philosophy is shifting dramatically, and look at the number of vendors who want to deal with that. So what is happening in talent management? It is like taking the person and trying to shape them according to the company needs. That was the past. It is not anymore valid. What is valid is taking the person as is and seeing how his or her talents can fit in organization using all possible and impossible methodologies. We will talk about that in a minute. Recruiting is also changing. So what is happening right now is, first of all, there will be a lot of AI recruiting based on different platforms. There will be selection process based on AI, testing process, sourcing. All that can be done already with a lot of algorithms. And actually we are having this journey from having first candidate databases. I hope all of companies you are working for have those candidates databases. Then we have market analysis of candidates, where those guys are living. And right now, the very new tendency is happening. In, let's say, even 2 years ago, we were finding the locations where developers or technologies are, located, and we were opening offices there. But right now, the new trend is to look where those people would like to live, where they would like to relocate and start offices in those cool places. Then we came to the integrated search and onboarding. So onboarding actually is the most critical part of the whole employee journey, because the first 90 days of employee in the company is equal to the huge stress as if somebody from your family dies. So that is huge stress when you shift from one company to another. So onboarding with the help of all the tools is also something to consider. And finally, what is happening as we talk right now, it is intelligent assessment and diversity career. What is it about? So if you have a candidate right now, we normally consider them for one position. Actually, we have an opening and we look for people if they fit this opening. So that is, again, already the past. What is happening in modern world is you have a candidate, you assess them with a lot of different tools, including interviews in human way, in different ways. And then you see how this talent can be fitting organization, not otherwise. And most probably, if the company has certain scale, you always find the right position. So right now, what typically happens, you assess candidate and then you have all potential openings, all current openings, and all openings to be within 1 year. And you try to fit this candidate into these openings. And that's the right approach for the moment. And have a look how many companies want to collaborate with us to have this process going smooth. One more big thing, which is already not new, but it really evolves very rapidly. It is diversity and inclusion. We all have tendency to take people who are very similar to us because they are like us. We know how to work with them. We know who we are. We don't want to take people who are different. But actually that is the biggest mistake. That is the biggest mistake. Because if you are all the same, and you can imagine just standing in one line, like all together, and going in one direction, you just see the same picture. And you don't see altogether the same risks and the same problems potentially, and opportunities as well, because you are going in one direction. So diversity is new survival mode. So when you take people who think different, who look different, who behave different, it can be uncomfortable, but that is a huge value add to your team, because they actually give you this 360 view, and you can diversify your risks, and you can see them as early as they appear. And actually what is happening here, the most important thing is to not only say we are inclusive and we praise diversity, but to measure what you do. Because actually people don't report toxic behavior. When there is inappropriate behavior from teammates or managers, that needs to be tracked. And there are also tools for that. Maybe that is not the topic you were thinking about, but that is very much recommended to do that, so that people with different backgrounds, but with the same values as you have, are able to work in your company very productively. There is also employee listening strategy, because there is such illusion, I would call it, that we know what people think, and we actually have the good communication lines. But that is well-known fact that people are not complaining till they have to. And when they complain, it's a little bit too late to react. That's why we need to have employee listening strategies and see how we monitor the moods, the trends, the dangers, and maybe some, conflict of interests, whatever. How do we do that? Typically, there are well-known things like surveys, audits, performance management, performance check-ins, and actually open door policy. Listen what your people say, ask them, and they will tell you a lot about improvement potentials, about things that can be done, but install the system, not one-time action. The most successful leaders of the future, and that was for me very insightful. I collaborate with a Swedish company, and the main criteria for top manager to be selected on top position is, guess what? Just guess. I make a little pause. It is being kind. They say if the person is kind, all the rest can be trained. And those are the things which will be really the selection criteria for people of high levels. That is curiosity. You never say, I know everything. You are curious, you have empathy, you are kind, you are happy by yourself, because nobody can make happy somebody without being happy himself. You are joyful, you like the life, you're optimistic, flexible. You have ability to forgive people, even if they are not the best companions which you could dream about. You are patient, you have the drive, and you have generosity. So guys, go through this list, mark with what you have, and see how you can be more kind, more joyful, and more happy, because that's what makes people successful, actually. Few words about learning. There are a lot of things I would like to share with you, but the time limits are there. And the most interesting shift which was happening within the last year is that trainings from 8 hours are reduced to 15 minutes, so-called micro-learnings. I was working in times when there were 5 days trainings, I can't imagine that nowadays. It is 15 minutes, maximum 1 hour. One more thing which is very different. It is not organized by HR anymore. It can be supported, it can be, arranged by HR, but actually functional areas become the experts. Trainings will be led by subject matter experts, and external instructors and experts will be invited, but the main education will happen within the company, with the people who are working there, with the people who really know what this company needs, and actually inviting some external people who have expertise you don't have. And career will be very, very different. So instead of planned career, which we are used to very much, we were moving to fast-track career, when people really, they don't go through all the steps in certain time, but if they are able to do the job, for example, of senior, they become senior. They don't have to go years and years for that. But now we come to the agile career planning, which means that it happens anytime. So anybody can move to any position if they have capabilities, competencies, and willingness. And we need to adjust our systems to do that. So, and we have to link employee personal inspirations and their own developmental plans with company needs. So on one hand, we need to see what company will need technology-wise, competency-wise, and from the other side, we need to match that with aspiration of employees. That is not typical paradigm. We need to learn how to do that. And the big chunk what company has to do is well-being. Well-being can be translated in many words, and explanations, but what is it for me? What is well-being? I feel well in this company. I feel really good there. So what does it include? I stay healthy. And company helps me to do so. So, for example, SoftServe, what we were doing, people can stay online as long as they want till we have all these pandemic situations. But if there are some critical things and they need to work from office, there are some limited edition places with us where we do that. We have health insurance, benefits, and so on. What makes me feel good in my company? When I have supportive network, when I don't have to prove myself every day that I am okay, but I'm supported and I have other professionals around that. That is the process by itself. And I think this conference actually is one of those events which build professional network, because we can rely on each other, we can help each other, we can advise, and there is no competition here. There is no competition. We actually support each other. Predictability in personal finances. That is also pretty significant in my life, that I feel good in this company. I know this company will stay. I know I will stay here if I perform and if I contribute. And I will have some financial expectations which are planned, aligned, and I know about them. That is also very important. And maybe not the most obvious thing, but extremely important, it is CSR, corporate social responsibility. So the phenomena of corporate social responsibility is amazing. It was already the studies, I guess, back in 60s, most probably back in 60s, when people were relocating with big communities and families, and they were settling in some unknown places. The most successful people were those who were caring about others. So actually, when we have, anxiety and we are not sure, the best way to deal with that, believe it or not, is to help others. So when we switch attention from our own, problems, whatever they are, to the needs of other people, first of all, anxiety goes down, and secondly, we feel socially much better and healthy. So if there is big, turbulence in your company, try to help somebody who needs that. And you will see how different will be situation there. People will calm down, most probably. And actually, I don't remember any time in the life of our company when we were doing so many charity events and helping people in so many different ways. We have Open Eyes Fund, where everybody can ask for donations, describe the project, and people help. And that is building this well-being environment. So what we are building, guys, with you together, everybody on their level, in their team, in their little or big community, because right now I was told there will be around 1,000 people at this conference, which is amazing. So that is a huge community which is international. We are building business which is centered on human beings. We don't develop the processes and the workflows which need people really to almost kill themselves to adjust. We build ergonomic ecological processes which are centric on human beings and on us, by the way. So we are building our companies for the future, and that is the part which I was preparing, and now comes the most exciting parts, which is questions, and I don't know what those questions will be. I hope they will be provocative, maybe, you know, contradicting, maybe funny, I don't know. Let me surprise myself.
Thank you very much, Renata, for this, for raising this topic. It's just amazing set of insights and recommendations. Thank you very much for this. Yeah, we have a number of questions. I have chosen just a few of them, as we are a little bit trying to be fast with this conference. So I have 3 of them, and please then choose one of them. So we will appreciate the person who asked that.
So will they get a gift or what?
Yeah, sure, they will. So first question, I hope it is provocative enough. If we prioritize the point of success, which are free time, work of love, profit, etc., what will you put in the first place and why?
I would put the passion in work, because that actually brings all the rest together. If you love what you do, there is no need to balance life and work because you live there. And actually, if you love what you do, you have autonomy in choosing things a lot normally. And I think the most critical free time question, it is when you dislike your work, then every hour is suffering. But if you like it, free time can be also spent in something where you discover, you know, some topics related with work. Why not? So I think that goes first, Denis.
Okay, thank you very much. So I hope the person who asked the question enjoyed the answer. I do believe so. We have another one from people who are live with us at this moment. Is there any variety of appreciation type available for instance, different generations or other group of people?
So how we incentivize different generations, that's the question?
Yes, sort of.
Okay, so thank you for that question. Actually, you know, there is a kind of, you know, split of generations, and we can name them this baby boomers, X, millennials, then we have Z, now they're already in the labor market, and they are kind of different. So for example, for X, which I am, for example, I'm not a good example because I don't think I'm X anyway. So typically for people who are, let's say, 48 plus, that would be stability of work. So if I know that my company will survive in the long run, that is the biggest you know, bonus for me to work for that company, especially if I like my work, if I am meaningful there, and if my financials are okay. So that is stability. When we go to millennials, it is more about comfort. It is more about flexible time. It is more about I'm unique like nobody else. So you are unique like everybody else. So millennials like customization in every way. So if for example, give the gifts, it should be with a name or something unique. If you do some, bonus programs or benefits, it also needs customization, and the person can actually choose. So millennials are more about choice. So they need to have choice, and one option is no option for them. And if we take Z, they are the most contractual guys I know. So they really, when you agree with them to work on something, they are very hardworking people. They know what is result, delivery, and so on. But they are more free in their choices. First of all, they don't look for, they don't have direct link with the work, because work is everywhere and life is the only one. That is the motto. And they don't have natural respect to bosses because they're bosses. So I think for Generation Z, the best reward is having autonomy and influence on their own career. So if I can do that, that will be my bonus part in the company. And definitely they look for money today and not in, in the nearby or 3-5+ years future. They need money today, they're ready to work for that, and they want autonomy and influence on their own career. So that is the bonus part for that.
Great, thank you very much. And you touched over your speech a really interesting part, and we have a question about that. Can you give a few bits of advice on how we can manage the inner world, but not the external reality?
So that is an interesting topic. Actually, within all history of humankind, we were conquering outside space. So we were, building houses. Prior to that, we were hunting or collecting, the two, main dimensions. Then we went to agriculture, and we were suffering and struggling with nature and trying to build something. Then there were manufacturing. So we were all the time doing something with external world. But right now, actually, we come to a very interesting point in the human history when we need to do something with ourselves to be successful. It is not how much we do outside, it is how much we deal with ourselves, how much we develop ourselves. That will influence our career, our lifestyle, our happiness, and finally feeling completed. So it is not how much I take from outside and do things, it is what I do with myself. And when you look at younger generation right now, they don't want to own anymore. Actually, they don't want to buy houses or apartments. Maybe when they become older they will, but not now. They don't want to buy the cars, they lease the cars or they share the cars. They want to rent the apartments and move across the city and between cities and between countries. So it is coming more what I am, what I want, and how do I develop and how do I adjust. That is the new intelligence, if I may say so, and new richness.
Great, thank you very much, Renata, and thank you for your amazing speech, awesome insights and recommendations, for joining us today for sure.